That's right.
Okay, it's a little after 6:30, a little technical difficulties, but we're still at the Pine Ridge Clubhouse at 4801 Lakeside Club Boulevard, and we're here for our monthly meeting. Before we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to take a moment to remember a few people. As most of you know, my father passed away February 2nd, so I just returned from the cold Michigan weather. So thanks for all your notes and words of kindness to myself and my wife. Also, we'd like to take a moment to remember Judy Price, longtime resident, and also Jane Hazelin, another longtime resident that recently passed away. So we'll take a moment of silence for those. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ann, would you please take roll?
Bob Toles.
Here.
Tom Trino.
Absent.
Scott Harris.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
John Knoll.
Here.
Laurie Blaze.
Here.
And Urban here.
We have a quorum of 6 board members, 6 out of 7.
Eric, was the meeting properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Call to order.
Cell phones, he said.
If you have a cell phone, please turn them off, turn the volume down. Skip.
My mother might be called.
Do I hear a motion to waive the reading of last month's minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Eric, did anybody sign up to speak tonight?
Yes. First we have Shannon Lightbody.
My husband was the, Shannon Lightbody, 4705 Blackberry. My husband was the latest, maybe one of the latest victims of the Pine Ridge, Orange River Road crossing. So he was hit by a Ford 250 and that was pulling a trailer. And the main reason I'm bringing it to your attention is because even the officer said that it shouldn't, that intersection should not be the way it is. And I appreciate all the effort that the board continues to do on initiating and having conversations with the county concerning that situation. I noticed they put a counter out there since Sunday. My personal question, and maybe you can tell me who I can ask this question to, is where in Lake County does a private road have the right of way onto a county road?
I'm not going to recite the exact answer to you because but I do have some information related to that from a few years ago when this came up.
But we did ask that question. In fact, we found our own information. We went and asked that question,
and they answered me back, the Department of Transportation, and I still should have that
Yeah, okay,
answer.
you can give
So
that to
I
me.
can give that
Okay.
to you.
The other thing that I wanted to bring in, the main reason I'm standing up, is because exactly what happened was, as we come to that intersection, we always make eye contact with the other vehicle, either Larry or I, because we want to make sure that the person's going to stop. Eye contact was made. The guy stopped, so Larry proceeded and the guy gunned it and hit him, okay, in the very front. Part of the problem is 50% of our community thinks they should stop. The other 50% feels that it's our right of way, and so they just go through the intersection, which is the way it is set up. The people that are stopping, the people that are coming, then assume that we're always gonna stop and give them the right of way, okay? So I know it's a no-win situation, but we're also making it worse for ourselves when we do stop and give them the right of way. That's just my comment, that's just my opinion, and I just wanted you to have a little more information.
How's Larry? Is Larry doing okay?
He got a pretty good whiplash, and he had a stent in his neck, so we're a little concerned about that, but he's, we're pursuing it. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Shannon. And as we've said several times, you really got to watch it. Not just there, but as you longtime residents know, pretty much anywhere in Florida. I think the driving skill level is much higher in this room than outside that gate. So glad Larry's okay, and everybody be mindful, watchful. And as you know, this has been pursued before with the county to no results at all in our favor. So maybe we can pursue that if you could ever find out what avenue to take. What I'm sure we all know in this room is the more people that go down to City Hall and voice their opinion, the more attention that you're going to get for whatever issue it might be.
Who do you complain to? Like if we all wanted to complain, who would we complain to?
That's something we'll have to research, a little bit of, Googling and calling the right departments, and eventually we can figure that out.
I've been through this before, so I have a couple of names. We didn't get very far with those names, so we may want to try new people.
Don't we have a county commissioner? Isn't he the one that we should really be pursuing?
No, it's DOT.
It's the Department of Transportation. The commissioners ultimately are in charge of everything. And that would be like going to the President of the United States before going to anybody else.
I would think it would be like going to our senators before we go to the, but he seems to be the person that is the one that's over our area. He helped us get the fence.
They have these meetings, it was either once or twice a week, I forget the schedule. We went to a lot of them, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, but I kind of agree with you, Shannon, in that it's those who stop, or that those of us who come to a dead stop coming out of here are creating the problem. And because number one, you're gonna get rear-ended by the guy who behind you who didn't stop. But I think you can approach that intersection and eye through all directions and know that that guy coming around the bend is gonna stop and proceed through that intersection. And the DOT's gonna say they wanna keep that traffic going Orange River moving. And so that's where we're gonna be but it doesn't hurt to pursue it, but I think that's the idea.
If I could give some advice to people who, sure, everybody has auto insurance on their car, but uninsured motorist is an additional coverage that you can get. It's not that expensive. Florida is one of the #1 states of uninsured drivers driving. And if you have that uninsured motorist, it's really going to come into handy when, God forbid, if you did have an injury. Thank God Larry's not that bad, but if it was worse, and the other driver didn't have insurance, you would want to have that covered at the end, okay?
Why can't
At
you
the
just
end.
paint that
At
like
the end.
yellow?
we have anybody else to speak?
Ed Perez.
Hi, my name is Ed Perez. I'm with, I live at 4641 Pine Ridge, Lakeside Club Boulevard. And I handed out a little presentation to you that I'll speak just in a few minutes. But it's, I'm representing the pickleball community here at Pine Ridge, and we were asking if we should consider upgrading the pickleball courts. I have a definition of what pickleball is, and we all pretty much know what that is, so we're going to kind of go past that. But I like to kind of highlight the point that the popularity of pickleball, and it's not just here, but nationwide. It's increased by 21%, and we see that same factor of increase even here this year from last year. I think ultimately upgrading the pickleball courts here at Pine Ridge would help us keep up with the forecast of more pickleball players, the growth of pickleball players around the nation, and ultimately the people that are going to become members of this community. So, current state, what we have here at Pine Ridge, we have 2 pickleball courts that are shared on 1 tennis court. Play is open and games are played pretty much throughout the day, day and night. Typically, most evenings, however, starting at 6:30, we have about 10 people show up, and on occasion we have as many as 12 or 14. Again, with 2 courts, that's not sufficient, but it's a social game, so we rotate everybody in. Many guests that come in look forward to playing pickleball, so this would make that availability. More importantly, though, surrounding communities around us recognize the attractiveness of having pickleball courts. A drastic example is the Villages, for example, has 200 pickleball courts. Veranda, right next to us, is building 8 pickleball courts, and so ultimately, the expansion of these pickleball courts would be very much of an attraction to Pine Ridge. The expansion will not interfere with the current tennis availability. However, we want to note that tennis usage from our perspective, and I'm saying people that are playing pickleball don't see that much contention with tennis players. In fact, and statistically, typically tennis playing decreases on 55+ communities. I also have, for your information, a short list of pickleball players here in our community. We told right now 18, plus I couldn't get all the names, but I think it's more than 18. So ultimately, the proposal, there's a proposal sheet here, and it is, we can put in two more courts within the perimeter of the fences that we have now. The width of the fence is 60 feet. Each pickleball court is 20 feet wide. So that will allocate 20 feet for each court, allowing 20 feet of space to be distributed on the side of the courts and between the courts. And I also put a picture or the dimensions of the court dimensions. And lastly, I'm stating here the work effort and the cost to extend the layout to 4 courts. So the work effort would be to paint the layout for 4 courts, which right now we're estimated to be about $2,000. The actual cost will have to be determined. I think you worked with Mike before, Eric worked with Mike before to understand that value or the cost, so we can work on that.
That $2,000 number, is that just like an idea of what you thought it would cost?
Yeah, we discussed it we had some research with people that, from different communities in Wisconsin and Iowa that did something analogous to this. 2 additional pickleball nets obviously would be helpful, and if we can throw in a practice board just so people can hit the ball against the board, that would be helpful. Again, I'm stating this for your consideration, I'm gonna show you something you need to act on, but, I just wanna put it out there so you give it some thought.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Whoa, wait a minute. You may approach the bench.
Thanks,
I'm just gonna share that with you. It's something that popped up on the good old internet when I started doing 2 minutes of research on pickleball. And we are very open to improving the amenities around here. Our number one goal is not to be spending your money unless it's wisely spent. The tennis court was recently resurfaced, so we do have an investment in that. I've only played pickleball out there a couple times last year, so we all have a very good idea what it's about. I gotta be honest with you, I probably see more people playing pickleball than tennis, because you guys are so rowdy and everything, more noticeable. So we all would want to be careful not to take an amenity away from somebody that's used to it. At the same time, I hear what you're saying. We look at all of those activities, and pickleball is becoming more popular and probably accelerating quite a bit right now for all the reasons that you said. So we do look at the amenities here. You have 18 people show up to play. That's a lot more than tennis.
Yeah.
We had 80 show up for cornhole. Not comparing the two, but nice presentation that you put together for us, and we'll take a look at that.
The only note that I would add as far as the cost, in order to do it properly and make it look like a first-class court, you'd have to basically resurface the court, and it's going to cost about $7,500. So it's a little bit more than two, but it's not an insurmountable amount.
Okay, thank you.
Ed,
Yes, sir.
so how do you separate those 4 courts? Do you need a screen that goes down the middle so that you don't run over onto my court while I'm swinging and I decapitate you?
Only if you would play, you have to play.
No, I'm just curious.
Okay, to answer your question, that's why the courts themselves are 20 feet wide. The width of the fence in the area is 60 feet. That means you can put 6 feet between the fence and the first court, 6 feet between the 2 courts, and 6 feet on the other side. Plenty of room for somebody to play that way. Brooks Park, for example, in the heart of Fort Myers, has such a configuration, and people don't run into each other.
Well, I'm concerned because one of my security staff, he tried to play one night and ended up into the fence.
Well,
Put your shoes on right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, and thanks for costing it out, just from my point of view.
yeah, it's got to be a little more.
So I can start planning ahead, whichever way.
I don't know why my friends delegate me to talk about stuff, so this first item, because I have a big mouth, maybe. My name is Barb Jacks. I live at 9540 Green Cypress Lane. First thing we wanted to do was thank the board for building, or in process of building, that walking path. between the two buildings. It really looks like it's coming along really good. I mean, we just wanted some stepping stones to get through there, but what you guys did is fabulous. The second thing I have to talk about is a little bit more critical. I unfortunately had an experience a couple weeks ago where I needed to replace my hot water tank. And I went through Home Depot. The guy that came took 5 days to install it. He installed it incorrectly. And he kept blowing the circuit. So he said, oh no, I got it fixed now, you'll be fine. Next day I get up to take a shower, there's no hot water. So I went to throw the circuit breaker and it blew me right back from my laundry room into the kitchen, and the power went out in my entire apartment. So I called Pamela and I asked if anybody else in the building lost power. Unbeknownst to me, I did not know that the main switch is outside the building. So I sat there for about 4 or 5 hours without power until one of my neighbors said, oh no, the main switch is outside the building. So I think we need to let people know that if you should happen to lose total power in the condos, I don't know about the villas.
Whatever happened with the breaker with the water heater that exploded?
They came back and they sent a real technician. He had it, he fixed the whole thing, everything is fine, and I told them I'm refusing to pay.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
So,
and
but it was not
there was
worth,
no damage to the panel itself.
no damage to the panel.
They have to change that
They
breaker.
checked everything, they did everything they should have. So, because my son's a fireman, he said you should have called the fire department.
Yeah, because I tell you, I've been working here, it's my 10th year, and we've never had that issue where someone's able to go outside and
Yeah.
turn it back on, so that's
So,
the,
just so that people know that if they should happen to have that, there is, the breaker is outside. And I'm done.
right in there with the fire alarm panel, just in case.
Yeah.
And your son's right, by the way.
Pardon?
Your son was right, by the way.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to call people like that because they love to come. You know.
Oh, I know, it gets them out.
Oh, they do, you know. So, yeah, I don't think you're bothering.
Last but not least is Kay McEldowney. Bring the mic down.
Hello. Mike?
We gotta get you a boost.
That's okay. I'm usually loud anyway, everybody can hear me. Okay. You gotta see where I live and all that? No. Okay, I'm not gonna do it. My issue is I'm addressing Bill England. I was appointed on his Lakes and Amenities Committee, and I texted him in January to find out when we will have any meetings, what time, and what was going on, because I wanted to keep up with everything. I have lately found out, not lately, but I've kept track of everything that needs to be done. I'm out all the time. But you've never, ever contacted me. It's been over a month.
I sent you a text back to that same number you sent me one on saying that the meeting hadn't been set up.
Yeah,
yet.
you said that. That was in January.
Yeah, this is February now.
Well, yeah, it's over for almost 4 weeks. And I've had people ask me about things, and I'm like going, I wanna know things. If I'm on the committee, then 4 weeks to me is a long time when you're down here just for this amount of time. So I would like to keep up on things a little bit more. So I would appreciate if you would contact me and make the committee in a time more, instead of like almost 4 weeks.
Well, the meeting is March the 2nd,
Okay,
at
well,
6 o'clock.
okay, then you need to contact me, because I'm on your committee.
Well, I just
Okay?
did.
That's what I would appreciate. So, that's it.
I didn't know you were on my committee.
I
until
told you, I texted you.
Until you texted me, I didn't
In
even know
January.
that.
Okay.
So, Bill, there's a social committee meeting on 6 o'clock on the 22nd, just so you know. So this place.
It's not on the calendar.
Nothing's on the March calendar yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, there's a social committee meeting on that day. You're gonna have to,
6 o'clock.
yes, here.
Oh, we can have it out back, I mean, there's no problem.
One thing I'll say about the different committees is some committees are more active than others. Some committees at different times are called into action more often than others. And January, when we're first starting up the year, there is a lot of work that goes into starting up the year. So we want to have as many meetings as we can, have as many people volunteer. I'm happy to see people interested. But just be aware that, and there's other external things that happen, health things, and family things like that. But we try to have as many meetings as needed.
I don't quite understand. If, is this talking? Is it not possible to just have these meetings announced at the mailboxes?
We
Or
announce
what?
them at the
I mean,
mailbox.
It is. When it used to be meetings when we needed them type of thing, we would post it 48 hours ahead of time at the mailbox. Then as we had some different board members who wanted to have standing meetings the same day every month, then we would just post on such and such third.
Oh,
third
just on the
Thursday.
calendar.
Right, so that way we don't have to keep posting and posting and posting.
Okay, thank you.
Just as a follow-up, they're talking about the meetings. In 2 years that I've had the late and amenities meetings, I've had 7 meetings, and we've only had 2 people. The most we ever had show up was 4, and that's including myself and my wife and Eric in that 4. So it's not that we don't have meetings. We have meetings, but if no one shows up with no concerns or questions, what's the purpose of having a meeting?
And another thing, if there's specific questions, you can always email those to myself, and I would get them to your committee leader, or straight, their contact info is there, and then they can try to get some answers or schedule a meeting in order to get those answers. But kind of cluing them in on what your concerns are is helpful, so they can be prepared for the meeting.
Okay, I think Barb was the last one that signed up. Okay,
One more
was.
thing to say.
Oh, yeah, she was
If
there.
I could. I hear it's John Mull's birthday. Can we sing happy birthday to John?
No, thank you. You've already wasted enough time.
You can spank him later. Eric, would you give your manager's report?
Tough act to follow, but all right. I want to report to the board and the members that everything in the community continues to be going fairly well. We've got a couple of issues that are popping up here and there, but that's par for the course when you have this size of a community. Recently, I'm sure everybody's aware, we had a cold snap come through for a little bit of a freeze. We had to take some preparation in order to prepare because we're not accustomed to that. One of the things we did is we covered the annual flowers to prevent them from all freezing up and dying. And fortunately, that worked. It looks like they're all coming back pretty good. And then the cold snap also knocked out a compressor on one of our pool heaters. You guys may have noticed it was a couple degrees cooler. Now it's 2 or 3 or 4 degrees cooler. And boy, those 4 or 5 degrees make a big difference. I know. So, and apparently that happened to quite a few communities over this cold period of time because it's been pretty hectic with the heater people. But I'm working on that to get that replaced as quickly as possible. And my goal would be beginning or middle of next week that we have the pool back to normal for you. Okay. We're continuing to work on the walkway between buildings 202 and 203. It is turning out really nice. Now you guys won't have to get your feet wet after the meeting. We built and installed, this was something that came up during the last meeting, but we built a new step for the shed for the social club. It's a lot more solid, and it actually is the correct height of the step, and now it's actually 2 steps into the shed. The way it used to be, the step we had was almost level with the floor of the shed, which was almost, which was redundant to even have it there. So this turned out pretty well, and we hope that it's much safer for everybody. I think John is going to talk about this in more detail, but last week we worked installing the surveillance system, the new surveillance system. It's turned out very good. He's going to talk about that more. We received the first of our 16 newly redone lounge chairs. We sent 16 of them out to be redone. And the second batch is off to be similarly refurbished. And the material we're using, we going to talk about that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll show you what some of the differences are going to be, but we've got a good solution to the problem, and the company that's doing it, this is all they do, so they're very, very good. They've been in this area working on pool furniture since 1983, so it's 2 years longer than I've been doing anything. The AED, the automatic defibrillator that we have here, the emergency defibrillator, every couple of years you have to replace the battery and then the pads that go inside of it for it to work properly. So we went ahead and we've replaced all that stuff. What we want to do is schedule some training time, maybe next month, that if we can get them to come in, to number one, recertify the staff on CPR certification, and then also do some training on the AED, so we have some people who know how to use it in the event that we ever need to. I hope we never need to, but just in case. Got a lot of individual work orders, different things around the units, which is typical of this time of year. Even more so when a lot of people weren't able to come down last year, so they're finding things that they haven't been able to address. But we're making our way through those, and for most work orders, once the work order is completed, especially if it's one that directly affects your unit, you're going to get a call from our office and Pamela just to check with you and make sure, we want to let you know that it was done, because sometimes you wouldn't be aware whether it was done or not. And number two, to make sure that you're satisfied with the job, if there's anything that we could try to do a little better. So I hope that people appreciate that, and certain work orders, if something takes a little bit longer, it's because sometimes we have to build up a certain amount of them in that category in order for us to bring that vendor in. But if it's things that we can take care of here with our on-site guys, we try to get to them very quickly. So the last thing tonight that I want to talk about, and I know Ann is the rules committee, but I want to just touch on the rules and remind everyone to follow the rules, but also remind everybody that if you see something, say something. If you're aware of a rule being broken, in particular one that affects other people in a negative way, report it so that we can investigate it and take the appropriate action. We have a lot of people who come to me and they say, well, I know everybody in this community is breaking this rule and that rule. And I say, well, I think that's exaggerated, but who is breaking the rule? And then they don't want to tell me, or they don't know, or whatever the reason is. If we don't know what's happening, we can't be everywhere every minute of the day. So if we don't know what's happening, we're not going to be able to address these situations. And then what a lot of times happens is frustration builds up, and you get people upset, or you get other people breaking rules because they say, well, that person got away with it, so why can't I? So if you see something, say something. Don't worry about being a snitch. Normally I am able to say, we've had residents complain. I don't say, so-and-so complained about you doing this, because we don't want to create a situation where neighbors don't like each other. But we do want people to follow the rules, and if there's certain rules that are being broken, it's important that we nip them in the butt. Like if someone has 2 pets, we got to get that right when they get that second pet, because once they've had it for X amount of time, and a lot of times it's years. Like when I first got the job here, there were people that had them for years. The courts aren't going to make somebody necessarily get rid of that 14-year-old dog. They're going to let the dog live out its life. So, but if we get it when the dog is 1, or when they first get it, we can enforce the rule properly and get it out. So what prior boards have done 10, 15, 20 years ago, we're not bound by. We're bound by the rules that are here today. But if you see something, say something. Especially if it affects someone else negatively and your enjoyment of the unit or somebody else's enjoyment, and it affects safety. Those are the 2 things that I think are the most important. So we would like to know we'd like to know what's going on so we can try our best. Expecting everyone to follow the rules without any enforcement is unrealistic, and if we can catch these situations early on, it stops them from growing into larger issues. But without enforcement, people drive the speed limit on the highway because there are police officers that will pull you over and give you a ticket if you're driving too fast. And there are some people that still drive too fast. You're always going to have that. But the main reason why people follow that, so rules have to be enforced. There has to be some threat of enforcement, at least some mechanism. And unfortunately, we can't check the inside of everybody's house to see how many dogs or cats they have every single day. You know, but we want to know about it so we can address it if it is something. So, thank you.
Is there a limit to the number of pets you can have?
We can answer that at the end of the meeting. All right. That's all I have for today, Bob.
Thank you, Eric. I just have a few things that I'd like to address and give you a little update on some of them. I could use Bonnie's assistance for a moment.
Vanna White.
See,
So we were doing a little bit of research a few months ago, and it came from going to these condo association meetings where we ran into some vendors that restored outdoor furniture, and we looked at the different qualities of material because this is what we had previously, and Bonnie can tell you probably how it feels and everything else. And yes, that is a brand new piece that has not been used. And this is a brand new sample of what we switched to. The life of it is much better. We're hoping to get a lot more years. And as you noticed, as soon as you touch it, it makes you go, ah.
It's more of a wicker, But one thing, we lay down with suntan lotion oil, put a towel down on the chair. It really goes a long way to prolong.
So we hear things from the community all the time, speeders. We do our best to slow down, don't speed. I do see Amazon drivers come in here, and they're probably one of the bigger offenders, and it is people in this community also. And you know, not to be pointing the finger at anybody, but we have had a red fusion identified speeding through the community. And you know, it's not just a little problem, there's a few others out there too. So please watch your speed, yell at them, whatever. On the other side of the coin, we have a few Thomas Edison types in here with the electric bike conversions, and the speed limit is 15 for those individuals too. None of those are here with us tonight. Probably out there tuning it up a little bit. So we all need to slow down and watch out for our neighbors. We did have an additional request for review regarding the butterfly garden, which I'm sure we'll discuss at some point. And lastly, the bikes. Last meeting where we were asked to take a look at the bike park situation on Green Cypress especially. But we took a look at the whole community and tried to make sense of what we have here existing. And if you look on Saleview or Lakeside, the condo buildings have a designated bike parking area in the parking lot that has white stripes going across it, and those are pretty much in the halfway point between those two adjoining units. I could only assume that was for convenience of both buildings, so the bikes were parked there. Green Cypress does not have any bike parking considerations in the existing parking lot now. Now, whether or not those were there before, I do not know. But we were asked to address the situation, we took a look at it, and we came up with the idea of turning the bike rack, we'll say parallel, down the center of 2 visitor parking spots, which in most cases would take an additional visitor parking spot from what is already being used for bike parking. So we're going to try that out on Green Cypress and see how it works, because when the bikes are parked in one parking stall and you have cars on the other side of it, it pretty much is impossible to get that bike out of there without scratching. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time tonight on bikes because Mr. Mao's hungry. And we can discuss it at a later date if you would like to.
No, it's just fast. It was put there and somebody moved it.
I think that, we'll go with that was the
Yeah.
win, because I don't think any of our upstanding citizens would take it upon themselves to move the inner structure around like that. So we'll just say it was the win.
Okay.
So we'll get those bikes situated, we'll see how it works, and we'll go from there. Now, Scott's going to give us his treasurer's report, I believe.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll just read it. Despite the headwinds we faced in 2021, particularly the surprise with the insurance, the association did end up the year under budget with a very modest operating surplus, and I particularly want to thank Eric and Pamela and Bruce, members of the committees and others, for watching our spending last year. That always helps. So we came in all right. The association finances continue in good shape. The general anxiety which I exhibit around wrangling the budget as we proceed does not apply to our actual physical condition. Our operating and reserve obligations are appropriately funded. I would rather y'all thought you're spending this into the poorhouse, but at the meeting I gotta tell you the truth. We're in pretty good shape. Some bad news, we met with our insurance broker, and Laura provided us with a preliminary estimate of next year's general liability premium. I expected this, we were warned last year that pretty much they're going to do the same thing this year as they did last year. There's no point worrying at it right now. We won't have an exact figure for a few months, but it looks like it's going to be a similar rise again this year. That's not something Eric can use his magic negotiating powers on. Those rates are set by the state, or they're allowed by the state. The accounts receivable are good, consists of 5 accounts, 3 who are at the attorney for collections, 1 owner is in collections, and there's a person who owes a small amount, and that's probably been paid by now. As always, the financial documents, you should have a copy of the balance sheet, but the big form with everything in it is also available at any time for your reading pleasure. Thank you very much. That's me, Bob.
Thank you, Scott. Lori, do you have any report regarding landscaping?
Yes, we had a landscape committee meeting. I was very pleased with the turnout and lots of interest in volunteering to make Pine Ridge a pleasant place to live. One thing and we're going to continue to have meetings the fourth Wednesday of every month at 6:30. It'll be on the Pine Ridge calendar. One thing I'm looking for, though, is some kind of a map or some kind of something that shows the structures, the hardscape, maybe the irrigation system, because the Landscape Committee wants to review Pine Ridge and build a plan, a 3 to 10 year plan with plantings and progress. Landscape is something that you have to plan ahead. And I mean, both for the budget and the trees and the landscape. And there should be a plan in place that says when this tree that looks like it's towards the end of its life cycle, what are we going to replace it with, and have a plan. We'd like to do that, but we have to take into account the buildings, the sidewalks, the path around the lake, the irrigation system, because certain plants you can't put if the irrigation doesn't reach them. So I've asked, and the office doesn't have one, but if anybody out there has something that was maybe left in their unit or villa when they purchased, I'd be interested in making a copy of it so that the Landscape Committee could use it, because it would help a lot. So if anybody has that or knows of somebody that has that, that would be appreciated. But it's too new to report that too much is happening. We have a lot of good ideas were brought to us, and I'm looking forward to our second meeting and see what's going to come of that. So if you have time, join us. Thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Bill, any news on the lake?
Yeah, I've got some information on the lake. I don't have a meeting minutes, but I'll just give you an overview on the lake and amenities. Our lake continues to fall within the normal range according to the latest results from Pond Watch. The only thing that is close to being out of proportion is the phosphorus level. And as you may remember, this has to do with a large amount of turtles and birds that are attracted to our lake, and they do what they normally do in the water, and that causes the phosphorus level to rise, but it's still within normal range. We have a new group that does our lake management, which is actually the group that was here before our last group was. So our old group is now our new group that's doing the management of the lake again. My plan is to meet with them in the near future to discuss any concerns that we may have with our lake. I also need to discuss with them the possibility of some more fish to stock in the lake. And Eric had already touched on the progress with the lounge chairs, and in the meantime they had gave some additional chairs to make up the shortage that we had, so we should have plenty of lounge chairs around the pool. And I've scheduled a meeting on March 2nd at 6 p.m. We'll have this meeting at the gazebo for all that wants to attend, especially any of the pickleball and the tennis players. This is discuss a suggestion that was made for trying to convert a tennis court into 4 pickleball courts. This is only in the discussion phase at this time. Anyone else who wants to attend is more than welcome. Please bring any suggestions, comments, or concerns you may have to the meeting at that time. Or you can call me at any time or text me. My phone number is 239-940-5064, and you can text that at any time, and I'll get back with you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Ann, would you like to have a plea for people to join your committee?
Well, not necessarily a plea, but there again, we have decided we will have our first meeting also on March 2nd, but that will be at 1 o'clock, so you people will be out in plenty of time to attend the 6 o'clock meeting in the evening. Eric, could you please have that posted to the mailboxes?
Yes.
Thank you. So 1 o'clock on that's a Wednesday, I believe, the first Wednesday in March. And we'll just, anyone interested, and then we'll see where we're going to go from there. Robert's Rules of Right, that'll be an initial meeting, and we'll see where people think that there might be a need. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Ann. Mr. Mao?
Good evening. So I'm the bad guy, so pay attention. So our new camera system is up and running. We've already had 2 incidences that were recorded. We caught the one gentleman that fell at the pool, tripped over a leg of one of our lawn chairs. So he's all right. He got pretty lumped up. Then we had another incident in here during our white elephant sale, and we're still looking to get to the bottom of that. We do have the capability now with these cameras, when people are tailgating and coming in, I don't care if it's late at night, early in the morning, we can now zoom in and get their place. There's no longer any fogginess. We can even get your date of certification on your license plate now, and we can read that number at the bottom of that. So we will be after everybody that's tailgating coming in, and we should now be able to start thinking about more cameras where we have the people that are running the stop sign, driving at excessive speed, trying to run down our pet owners and anybody that's walking in the roads. This is a 55 and older community. If you can't conduct yourself, sell your place and get out. Our nuisance law, as you know, we have quite a few speeders. They refuse to obey the posted signage. If you happen to see somebody, please report it to the office. With more incident reports that we have, there's one specific individual, he's looking for us to get him. We had a new incident today with him. He came in the parking lot on 2 wheels, almost hit somebody that was walking their dog. So please, if you see it, come to the office, call the office, call me. I don't care, because it's getting to be a problem. We don't need any fatalities in here. A lot of us can't move like we used to.
The most likely way somebody is going to get hurt is getting hit by a speeding car or a pet, God forbid. But that's the most likely accident we could have. So easy not to do it. It doesn't take very long to drive from one end of the community to the other if you go 15.
Excuse me, but I would like to, we know who is doing this. And he will end up killing somebody or hurting somebody before it's all over. Why can't we do something?
We're working on that.
We're creating a dossier with all of his violations. We've already been to the attorneys.
He's in the process.
So we're
Okay, thank you.
trying to do as much as we can. We will have a safety and lighting committee meeting this Saturday at 11:30 in the gazebo. I'm led by all of my old-time people that have been here. They're the ones that lead me in the direction for safety and lighting, and I have a great committee. Anybody else who would like to join, we'd love to have you. I'm also the recycling cop. Please break down your boxes so we can save room inside the dumpsters. If you're having construction done to your residence, your contractor must remove the materials out of the complex. Do not allow them to throw them in our dumpsters or in our catch-all spaces. If they're coming in to do work, they have to take it out. Our residents deserve to be able to put stuff in the dumpsters and not have to come in or call me at home and say, hey, what is the schedule? The schedule is what it is, and the waste management does not have enough drivers. Some days they don't have enough trucks. So we are trying as good as we can. We call as soon as we see it. So believe me, your concerns are being met, and you can keep calling me. I got nothing else to do all day. So, but again, please, safety is what we're all concerned about. We don't want anybody to get hurt. And if you have a heavy box that you can't get, the stuff in there, call somebody. I have no problem coming down and helping put them in there.
And one thing I'll say about the bulk trash area is they won't take old water heaters, old refrigerators, old stoves, they won't take that stuff. So if you're getting a new refrigerator, when they say, well, it's $39 for us to take the old one away, I recommend you do that. Don't think you're going to bring it down here to this this recycling or this bulk trash area. Number one is it's going to be difficult to get it over there, and number two is they won't take it. And when this thing fills up with appliances, we're going to have another problem on our hands. So please, if you have a new water heater, the plumber takes the old one. If you get a new refrigerator, the delivery people take the old one.
One more thing. We do have somebody that is abusive to his wife. If you hear her screaming and say he's trying to kill me, please.
Or anybody for that matter.
Dial 911. Don't wait to try to find me. Please dial 911.
In any emergency, dial 911 before you call me or John or anybody else, because we're not authorized to do what the police and the fire and the EMTs are able to do. We're only authorized to do what citizens can do in the position that we're in. But you really need, if there's an emergency, call 911. That's the rule number one always, whether you're in Pine Ridge or elsewhere.
That's all I have.
After you call 911, let us know.
Yeah.
We need backup.
Could I go back to the garbage for a minute? The garbage. We pay, this is your money, we pay for residential pickup. We double up on it in season. You pay for residential recycling. You pay for the light but heavier items in that area over there to be picked up. You're not paying for a contractor to have his stuff hauled off, and one way or another, that extra bit is going to cost you money. So that's another case. See something, say something.
And one thing I'll tell you, I talk to a lot of contractors, and they don't want to have the added burden of taking this debris or the construction materials elsewhere. And they'll tell you, well, we're going to charge you less because we're going to throw it away here. They don't charge you anything less. They really don't. If they do, it's $50 or something like that. They almost kind of think it's funny that it just gets one headache off their back, and they're still making plenty of money off of us. So when you hire them, don't necessarily fall for that,
You wouldn't let them come in your breakfast room and say, oh, I'm just going to leave this here in your garbage and walk out. It's yours. It's I know it's garbage, but it's your amenity. So help everybody out, please.
Thank you. So we had some old business. We were going to have a presentation from Tom Torino regarding the new website that he's been working on. And Tom's under the weather, so he's staying home taking care of himself tonight. Next month, he's going to do that presentation, and we're going to carve out pretty much all of the time for that meeting will be revolving around a little demonstration for the website. So the rest of the meeting at that point will be a little on the brief side, so that we're not keeping you up and missing Jeopardy or whatever it is that you should be watching at 7:30. We had a little bit of mention about insurance. So as far as the new business goes, we did have a meeting with Lori Ambrosia, our agent, and she's with Brown & Brown. They're our insurance company for the property. We had an increase already, and they're kind of prepping us for another increase. So we have invited her to the community, and she's gonna do a presentation. I'm not sure if we have a time locked in for that, but Eric's gonna take care of that.
That way you hear it straight from the messenger rather than us trying to relay what we're told, because it's complicated and it's expensive, and we want you to understand what we're up against, what we're all up against.
So that's pretty much it. We're gonna wrap the meeting up. I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight, and for those of you that tuned in. We did have a couple extra seats left here, so come on down to the clubhouse and take part in all the fun and excitement.
For that website presentation, we want every seat full. That's what
Yes, we should have a lot of attendance, because this website's gonna be very beneficial for the community in multiple ways. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.